New year, new me, right? This episode, season 4 of Horrible Writing. That will never work. You can't fuck with that. Seriously? Don't. Oh my God, that's the thing to do. That's bad. You probably should find other hobbies. You ever learn how to stop? Be happy? You don't. Don't bother. I've seen better. Do you really want to? And my third grade, give it up. Welcome to Horrible Writing, the rawest, most candid, in-your-face writing show on the interwebs because none of us have time to suck. Let's do this. Hey everybody, Paul Sading. Welcome to 2020, the year of perfect writing vision. I hope this finds you well. Episode 116, Season 4 of the show. Isn't that amazing when you think about it? This show was started all those moons ago just to provide a digital diary of what the writing journey was like from a know-nothing to open paren, hopefully close paren, published author. Well, that's happened 5 times, in fact. And there are 4 books in the pipeline to be published this year, with 3 more being outlined, plus a novella, plus later this year, late spring, early summer, start the outlining process for a joint writing project. So lots has really changed. And it wasn't, or it isn't, outside the realm and scope of possibility and reality and what I intended. And what I mean by that is this is the year of 2020. Last year was where I was giving things back, right? And we wanted to focus on that. This year, though, is different. 2020, everybody always says, oh, if I only knew then what I know now. 2020 is perfect vision. Well, guess what? This year, the theme to the episodes that we have are going to be centered on that. Now, of course, it will vary if I do interviews, which I have some I plan on doing. But in these standalone episodes, you, the writer, we're going to get serious this year about how you can do this. Don't tell me you can't. Show me how you can. And that's what this year is about. How do you develop that 2020 writing vision? So let's talk about that. First off, what is it? Well, you can't have 2020 writing vision. It's just not going to happen. There's no perfect vision that you have. What I'm talking about when I talk about your 2020 writing vision is you have done all the work necessary to be able to picture what your future looks like as a writer. That means tomorrow, next month, next year, 10 years from now. Where do you want to be? Why do you want to be there? And how are you going to get there? That's what we're talking about for the year ahead. Now, for some of you, this may be your first episode, and if that is, hey, you've missed 3 seasons. Go get caught up and come back. But hey, welcome as well. But for others of you who've been here for a while and you know the style, you know what I'm going to say, I'm your accountability buddy, right? You don't get away with things with me that you allow yourself, some of you do, that you allow yourself to get away with. This show is about keeping it real. It's about empowerment through candor. This is how we rise together, that we lift each other up. Now, there are plenty of podcasts out there and plenty of writing groups out there and Reddit threads and whatever, where we can pander to each other and we can hold each other's hand and help each other rationalize excuses away. And then there's me, where, yes, I recognize there are struggles. Yes, I recognize that life happens. Yes, I recognize that all of this is real and all of this is tough, and especially those of you who want to do the indie route, it can be incredibly overwhelming. You're not just writing to find an agent who will then do all the work, and to find a publishing house who will then do all the work to get the cover and the editors and the marketing. Yeah, right? That would be glorious. But for those of us who aren't aiming at that, it can be overwhelming. And this isn't to ostracize any of you who are thinking about the trade route. If that's your game, if that's your gig, if you can wait 2 years to see your book out there in the world, hey, kudos to you. In those 2 years while you're waiting, what else are you doing? What else are you looking for? What do you want to be? And is that trade route serving you well? Likewise, maybe the indie thing isn't serving some of you well, or it won't if you get into it. You're not going to know these things until you're in these things. You can anticipate, you can plan, you can strategize, but until you're in them, you're not going to know because you're not going to have experienced. Here's why you need to develop 2020 writing vision. Because you're not going to know you've reached your destination until you're there, right? So how can you know you're at your destination if you've never identified what it is? I want to go to Honolulu instead of staying in the gray, rainy Seattle winter. That's great. I know I want to go to Honolulu and I know when I want to go. Perfect, Paul. But how are you going to know your destination if I want to go somewhere sunny someday? Well, gee. All right. How do you work on that? Now, some of you may be laughing at that example, but that's exactly what a lot of writers do, even experienced writers, especially new writers. One of the things that we do in the Horrible Writing Writer Support Group on Facebook, if you're not there, why? Literally, seriously, we've been around. It's time for you to come join us. But one of the things that we do, AC Ward, wonderful YA and dark thriller type author, one of the things that she does is in that group is she makes people post their goals. And she has followed along what I wanted the group to do. When I used to do it, I wanted everybody to write SMART goals using the SMART acronym, SMART. So go look it up if you haven't seen it before. But that way of goal setting is imperative for all of us, experienced goal setters or not. Chandra is an aspiring author, and she came in the group, I don't know, about a year ago maybe now, and she groaned the first time she saw me post the SMART goals. I want you to tell me what your goals are for the week, but do it in the SMART format. She groaned. And it's beautiful because a few months passed and AC Ward had taken over the posting, and Chandra, or somebody not complained, but they didn't play along with it. And Chandra was encouraging them, using her own story that, hey, I didn't want to do these things either. You know, corporate America, I'm burned out on it. But then she admitted she saw the sense in doing it for your writing. What I want you to do, as with any episode that I ever put out, is I want you to always be reflecting and thinking, look that person in the mirror in the face, because that's the only person standing in your way of reaching your writing goals, whatever they are. That person right now, how are you reacting to this? When I'm talking about the 2020 writing vision, are you just rolling your eyes? Some gimmick Paul's pulling off for the show to get through a year of content? Or are you resistant to it? Do you not care about what I'm saying? You're not going to, you might be ready to stop this episode if I don't say something interesting. Do you have your goals written out? Are they posted someplace where you can see them in your writing area, wherever you typically write? Don't give me an excuse. Don't tell me you write at the dining table and you don't need your goals posted on the wall because the kids will color on it or whatever. These are excuses to help us feel comfortable about avoiding behaviors that are good for us, but just aren't necessarily a whole lot of fun. I don't wake up in the morning and say, ooh, I get to work on my writing goals today. They're not fun, but without them, I don't know where I'm going. I can say I do. Oh, I know I want to be a published author. Oh, yeah? So do millions, tens of millions of people. And how many of those tens of millions are writing at all? Well, they're busy with work and kids, blah, 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 blah. So are all the other published authors. They're all busy with kids and jobs and families and soccer practice and stress and bills. Everybody is. What we tend to do as a defense mechanism is we look at the most successful people, the people we cannot measure up to at this point in our lives, and then we say, see? Well, J.K. Rowling is a multi-billionaire, so she can fill in the blank. We do that, and it's dishonest. It's emotionally immature. We need to be measuring ourselves for healthy reasons against people in our situations, if it helps us understand our own behaviors, because that's what this is all about, is reflecting on our behaviors. In order to someday have that epiphany and reach whatever that ultimate writing goal is for you, you have to identify that, and you actually have to take the time to start plotting how you're going to get there. You have to look at the map and draw out the route. Now, for those of you who aren't old and you don't know what a paper map looks like and how you use one, and you just punch in an address in Google or Waze and you get there, that's kind of how a lot of people treat writing. I want to be published. I want to publish this trilogy. And then they do the writing behavior of punching the address into Waze and hoping that it's going to take them to the right place. Waze has satellite technology. Your writing doesn't. You can't do it if you're not actively engaged in planning. So you have to set those goals. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to set them up short, medium, and long term. They have to be smart, right? Specific, measurable, accurate, timely, time sensitive, some people call it, realistic. I forgot the R. I knew I forgot a letter in there someplace. So if you haven't written 100 words in a year, but in 2020 you say you're going to write 1 million, that's not realistic. Right? If you say, here's a good one when it comes to measurable, is something along the lines of, I want to get better on social media. What in the hell does that mean? You want to get better on social media? How? What you measure, you do. If you're measuring it, you're going to do those things. So take that big picture, whatever your ultimate writing goal is, and then down below that, somewhere down below that is your getting better on social media. Well, now you've got to plan that out. How are you going to get better? What is that going to look like? Be specific. What is better? That's not even quantifiable. So it's not specific. It's not measurable. So therefore, it's not realistic. And when do you want to get that done? Well, I've got 100 followers on Twitter and I want 500 followers on Twitter by August 1st of 2020. Now we've got a goal. Now you've got that specific goal. Now you can start working toward it. This has to happen in everything that you do. Don't become that writer that says, if I had known. Don't become that writer who is sitting there in your middle age or your senior citizen ages or on your deathbed, regretting the fact that you never really tried to get that story in your head out to the world, even if it was just to your mother. Don't be that person. There's enough. The world is filled with them. But if you're listening to this podcast, and if you've been listening to this podcast, you're here for this kick in the ass, this kick in the shins, specific information that'll help once in a while. Paul, that would be nice. You're here for those things, but it is about your mindset. Stealing a little bit on last year's theme, but it is. Everything we do is about our mindset. If you don't set those goals short, so in the immediate future, medium, 1 to 3 years, and long term, 3 years and plus, have that 10-year plan. If you're not doing those things and then figuring out the steps to get to those, you're not going to get there. Oh yeah, but I know author blah blah who, again, we pick out the one example that suits our argument. It's a logical fallacy that if you're paying attention to the news or any other sensitive topic that I could throw out here, but it's not a sensitive topic podcast, you'll notice that people do that. Think about your intimate relationships, your coworkers, your friends, your loved one, spouse, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, lover, how they pick out one specific behavior / example that suits their argument while ignoring the 99 other arguments that kind of contest or at least keep the site obscured, right? It keeps it nice and murky. But they don't. They cling to that one thing. Don't do that. Are you writing and publishing as much as you want to be? Are you any closer today to that writing goal than you were 1 year ago when I released the New Year, New Me episode? Only you know the answer to that. And only you, if you search, know why that is the case. Some of you are. You'll know why. Some of you aren't. And you'll know why. This year, let's develop 2020 writing vision for this year and beyond. All right, so I got you thinking, I hope. I've got you motivated, I hope. Join the group if you're not there yet. Please come join us. Additionally, on top of that, admin note about the show. It is now time in my life to make some changes. So I need to focus on fiction. The job loss situation has not helped. And this podcast, though it does decently, isn't doing that for me. I'm not Joanna Penn. So you'll know, those of you who are longtime listeners know that I will talk about those shifting priorities, right? You have to be flexible. You can only do that if you have your plans, if you have your goals listed, to recall on this episode's topic. But I have to shift. So I'm throttling back on this. That means less episodes. And for the immediate future, I'm going to go to once every 2 weeks instead of weekly. And if that remains too much, then I will do once a month. And if that remains too much, then I'll just stop. I won't go to once a quarter. But make some noise if this means something to you. If I hear crickets, my decisions will be a lot easier in the future. You make noise by rating and reviewing the show. I think I've got like 15 ratings in 3 years, even though I know there's a way more people than 15 listen to the show. Or support it. paulsading.com, click on that support tab, or patreon.com/Paul Sading and get all kinds of fiction. Speaking of, you want to get into a contest? A writing contest? Do you want your stories produced in a nice professional audio file that you can use however you want to? Put it up on your Instagram, put it on your website, put it wherever. Well, the Horrible Writing Writer Support Group on Facebook now has a contest. Every quarter I'm doing an audio fiction contest. It's associated with my audio fiction podcast. And it is for patrons only, so it's exclusive to that audience. But what it does, if you're a winner, is it puts your story in front of those people who are already paying for fiction. You want your fiction in front of people who don't pay and expect things for free? I learned that lesson. Boy, what a waste of time that was. Or do you want a paying audience, people who expect to, they accept it, they understand it, they actually enjoy supporting artists? It goes in front of them. If you're a winner, you get that audio file. I also give them that episode. They get to know about you. They get to hear your story, but also you get to promote yourself to them. So if you're in the Horrible Writing Writer Support Group, make sure you're looking for those announcements. The next one is going to happen right after our January 15th deadline passes for the current contest. Contest number 2 will go up on January 15th. Make sure you're looking for that. And if you're not part of that and you're on Facebook, just type in that search bar, Horrible Writing Writers Support Group. Answer the questions, or we're not going to let you in, but answer those questions. Come on in. Start joining the family. Start joining the discussion and the dialogue. And if you don't use Facebook and you want it somewhere else, sorry. It's for the Horrible Writing Writer Support Group only. Those are the folks who are going to be eligible for it. If you want your fiction done like this, come join us. Come say hi. Check in once in a while, even if it's the only Facebook group you ever use. All right. I hope you have been motivated to start your 2020 writing on the right foot. Start developing that 2020 vision and keep being epic.
Transcription by Renzi Lee over at Renzi Lee Freelancing. For fast turnaround times on content writing, transcription, and editing services, email Renzi at renzileefreelancing@gmail.com.
This has been Horrible Writing, and hopefully after this episode, you suck less than you did at the beginning. I am Paul Sading, your host extraordinaire. You can find me over on the Twitterverse at Writing Horrible and over at paulsading.com/horrible-writing. Until next time, suck less.